Okay, we're back. We're live. We're talking about the economy and you with Chris Leatham. He's the host of the economy and you, and I'm Jay Fidel in the studio here in Honolulu, and he is in Keystone, Colorado, at a place called Norski Sports Rental because he's on a skiing trip, and we have he and the proprietor of the Norski Sports Rental shop, namely Nicholas Baker, together. Welcome to the economy and you, gentlemen. How is it going in Keystone?
Well, it's going great, Jay. We had fresh snow this morning, and there was fresh powder on the hill, and the skiing was absolutely fantastic. I couldn't say enough about it. And we came over here to Norski Sports Rental. They hooked us up with a great set of skis, gave us a great package, and we've just been out having a blast today.
Well, let's get a handle on what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about high-tech skiing in Keystone, and the reason we're calling it that is because the Keystone, that is the Norski Sports Rental shop in Keystone, is very high-tech, and Nicholas Baker can tell us about it. So, Nicholas, why don't you tell us a little about what's going on in the Norski Sports Rental store?
Well, bringing in all of the new technology we can find, whether it's in the ski technology, the goggle technology, the new developments in helmets and helmet safety, whether it's protective ventilation in helmets, MIPS technology, which is a multi-impact system for helmets, new lens technology they're coming out with where they've actually engineered the lenses to let through certain spectrums of light so that terrain definition is more prevalent and you can see in a wider variety of light conditions with the same goggle on. The technology they're adding into skis, whether it's the shape of the skis, amber, the cut, or even certain skis they're adding in microchip technology to actually change the molecules in the ski while you're skiing to stiffen it and soften it, and it's pretty phenomenal what they're coming out with now.
Who is manufacturing these things? Who's designing them? Is this a Silicon Valley effort, or is it a Keystone, Colorado effort?
This is your local mad scientists for each ski company. Every ski company, helmet company, goggle company's got someone in their technology department that's just going above and beyond to try and come up with these new cool things. So it kind of comes from across the board.
Is it American or is it European also?
Oh, it's everywhere. It is worldwide. A lot of these ski technologies are coming from Europe. Some of the American ski company have it as well. A lot of the goggle companies and sunglass companies, they're worldwide companies, so they have people from all over coming up with different kinds of fits and different little adjustments based on where they are in the world, and it's pretty cool.
And how do people react to it? I mean, you have Chris Leatham there. He's a techie for sure. Let me vouch for him in that regard. And he would be really hot about things that were high tech. But what about the general public? Do they like this stuff, or do they ask you, Nicholas, to go back and try the old equipment instead?
No, actually, the technology development has pretty much been widely embraced across the board. You've got a few diehards out there that are never going to get off their old straight skis, and if it makes you happy, there's no point in changing it. But for those that have actually tried some of the new technology and given it a chance, they're really embracing it, and it definitely shows its benefits. Pretty much across the board.
Well, let me ask you about the things that would interest me if I was skiing with Chris, which I hope someday to do, hope someday soon. So first thing is the skis themselves. Last time I skied, parabolics were a brand new item, and that helped you ski better, and it sort of bent and curved around, it helped you curve in the snow. So where are we now with parabolics? Are they still popular, or is this something that has gone beyond them?
No, actually, almost every ski on the market now isn't a parabolic ski, unless it's a custom special ski for bumps or certain things like that, where it's a lot straighter. Almost any all-mountain ski you're going to find now is going to be some kind of a parabolic shape, and they're also bringing in other kinds of shapes as well. So not only the silhouette of curve, it's also cambering the ski a certain direction, adding what they call rocker to the tip and tail, all sorts of different cut profiles to change the way the ski performs in different conditions. Pretty much everything though nowadays is a parabolic. You can't really find a straight ski out there unless you really look.
That's interesting. That's interesting. So, and what about the length of the ski? I mean, what is your benchmark, your rule of thumb for the height of the skier and the length of the ski using the current parabolic skis?
Currently now, with the way we measure skis, it's gone away from the reach up above your head and get it to touch your wrist. It's now basically for a beginner, you're going between clavicle and chin, relatively short, so it's going to allow a lot easier maneuverability. An intermediate skier is going to be somewhere between the chin and the eyes, maybe slightly above, depending on what they're trying to do. And your advanced skier, your any run, any kind of ski is more from the eyes to above the head, depends on what they're looking for in their everyday ski, whether they're on the groomers all the time or they're getting a little more versatile and getting off the trail and playing in the woods and the bumps and things like that.
Well, let me turn to Chris for a minute. Chris, have you been skiing already, or you spend your afternoon at the ski shop instead?
No, I've been skiing. It's absolutely fantastic. I've been trying out some of these parabolic skis with some of the latest, greatest technology, and I can tell you it's been a real hoot out there on the mountain today.
And how long are your skis?
The skis I used today, I don't know exactly how long they were. I think about
155s, I believe, is one today.
Something like that, yeah.
Little shorter shape ski to
That's
give them a little bit.
155 centimeters?
Yes, sir. And in fact, Nicholas has some of the skis here. If you'd like to take a look at them, he can show you and give the audience a kind of a view of some of the technology in the skis.
But don't stand up.
Oh, no.
Maybe during the break. Oh, okay, all right, good. Okay, those are parabolic, I can tell, because they have a wide space forward of the boot.
Yep, yeah, up here towards the tip, you're going to notice a larger tip, a little narrower here underneath the waist. What you're looking here in the middle, you're going to notice a little bit of what's called camber. There's distance in between the skis. You can see it as I squeeze it. That's creating energy in your turns. And this is one of those companies that I was talking about that added a lot of technology into their ski. They've actually, in the back of it here, got a little microchip. And what this does is it changes the properties of the tail of the ski so that the faster you're going, the more effort you're putting into the ski. It's actually stiffening the ski up to allow better transfer of the power out of your turns. Pretty cool technology they're coming out with. They're also developing other things.
Well, before you move on to other things, let me just ask you how that chip works. How in the world can a chip behind the heel of your boot affect the stiff characteristics of the ski itself? How do they do that? A little motor? What?
No, it's actually based on the energy that you create in your turns. When you flex a ski, you're taking the built-up energy in that ski, and you're using centrifugal force and other wonderful things of nature to build energy in your turn and release it. The ski is taking the power that you're putting into that and the energy, and it's dispersing it according to what you're doing throughout the tail to basically stiffen and soften it. If you're going slower, there's not as much energy being put into the ski, so it's not needing as stiff of a platform to push against. As you start getting faster and you're pushing into your turn more to get more aggressive and bigger angles, you're creating a lot more energy in each turn, and it's taking that and it's using that to create the molecular change in the tail of the ski.
Wow, that is high tech for sure. Okay, you had another ski you wanted to show us. What are you going to show us with the other ski?
Another technology we were talking about was how they're mixing camber, which is the arc of the ski that you're pushing against, and they're adding rocker to it, which is basically an early rise in the profile. So you're going to see the same little bit of camber underfoot here on the ski, but you'll notice up here in the tip, the skis will start to come apart a little earlier, before the actual normal tip.
Yes.
That's creating a little bit of what's called a rocker profile. So it's an early rise to the ski, which is allowing you to perform equally through versatile conditions. Basically going from your groomers, which is nice and flat, corduroy snow, to off in the woods where there's a little bit of powder. You don't want to have to lean back on your skis to stay centered. This allows your skis to pop up a little bit through the snow while still maintaining that good forward body position.
Oh, that's really valuable. I can tell you my own experience with the powder is my tips would dig in and I'd get stuck.
Yep.
and I really couldn't ski very well. And the heavier the powder, the more difficult. The wetter the powder, the more difficult. So this avoids the problem about your skis dipping into the powder, eh?
Yes, sir. Yeah, it helps. It helps you allow your body to stay in that natural position up over your feet, where you're actually using your skeletal structure instead of your muscles to help yourself hold up.
So you don't get tired so fast.
It is. It makes it a lot easier to ski more runs on powder days, so you don't get burnt out first thing in the morning.
So what kind of skis has Chris been using? Is he? I mean, I don't know how much powder is there right now, or how Chris skis in powder, but I'd like to know which skis he's using and whether they're helping him, and how much help he needs.
I need all the help I can get, but I can tell you, we have.
Speak closer to the microphone, Chris.
Oh, okay. Well, we were up on the mountain. It was snowing this morning when we arrived and came up on the mountain, and so we were actually getting fresh snow. I don't know exactly when it started snowing, but when I woke up, it was snowing, and we had fresh powder on the mountain, and it was just like skiing on cotton candy. It was absolutely amazing. But I had some really great skis, a performance ski, and it allowed me to twist and turn all over the mountain. And I had I can't even tell you what a great time I had. So, one of the things I guess I'm advocating for here is, people who live in Hawaii, I don't know how many of them get a chance to come out and ski, but I would definitely, evangelize having them come out and give it a try.
Well, maybe we can get that from Nicholas. I mean, you're in Keystone. Keystone
Yes,
in Colorado. It's not too far from a number of other resorts there along the mountains. How does it compare with Aspen, with the various mountains in Aspen? How does it compare with some of the other resorts that are within, say, 50 miles of where you are?
It's a pretty phenomenal resort. I mean, each little resort, as I say little, they're not little, but each resort here in Colorado has its own little niches that they're known for. Aspen being the crazy place that it is. Keystone is a really awesome family resort. It's got a little bit of versatility for kind of all aspects. It's got the easier trails that are really good for your beginner learners. It's got those pretty technical intermediate trails for those that are trying to progress a little bit and learn a few things. And then it's got that hike access, bowl skiing and off-piste kind of thing that the more advanced skiers are looking for. All in a pretty quaint little package with one of my favorite views I've ever seen right here on the Continental Divide. I mean, the base of the ski area is at 9,200 feet, and you're skiing up to 11,500 feet. So the views of the Continental Divide behind you and the local reservoirs and the Gore Range in front of us, and nice beautiful mountain range we have. It's pretty spectacular, and we are also the only location here in Colorado for night skiing. So we run night skiing typically 3 days a week from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. at night under the lights, which is a pretty cool experience. Pretty unique that we get to have that here, while a lot of other people don't, and brings in a little versatility to that, in during the day.
What about those orange slopes? The ones that Chris likes. He likes the orange slopes. Do you have orange slopes there?
No.
I guess it's just as well.
Yeah.
How about cross country, Nicholas? You have cross country hills in Keystone that that Chris can use.
Absolutely, yeah. We have at the Keystone Nordic Center. Basically, it's takes over the Keystone Ranch and River Golf Course, which are two pretty well-known Rocky Mountain golf courses that are phenomenal. In the wintertime, they become the Keystone Nordic Center, and they have, I don't even know how many kilometers of Nordic trails that are just fabulous.
Yeah.
I'm actually going out there a couple of days a week with my wife.
And I wanted to ask you about, skis for cross country. I mean, I've always had the feeling that cross country skis were more conventional, less high tech, than the downhill skis. But is that true? And what's the latest high tech in cross country?
They definitely are bringing in a lot of technology into the Nordic side of things.
You know what, you guys? We're going to take a short break because the sound is breaking up.
Have your classic cross-country skis out there that haven't changed much.
We're going to take a short break, Chris and
ski-
Nicholas. We're going to take a short break, 1 minute break. Just stand by. That's Chris Leatham. He's the host of The Economy and You. Nicholas Baker, proprietor of the Norski Sports Rental Shop in Keystone, Colorado. We're talking about high-tech skiing in Keystone here on The Economy and You, and we're going to deal with the technical difficulties of reaching a mountaintop wireless setup. You'll see. We'll be right back in 1 minute.
Inspired by an ancient culture, classical Chinese dance, vigorous physicality, timeless stories, 5,000 years of Chinese music and dance, Shen Yun presents authentic Chinese culture. Coming to Blaisdell Concert Hall, May 8th and 9th. Tickets at shenyun.com or call 808-792-3919.
Hi, I'm your host on ThinkTech Asia, Bill Sharp. I look forward to you joining us each Monday between 4 and 5 o'clock when we film right here in our studio in downtown Honolulu. The show, ThinkTech Asia, focuses on contemporary events in Asia. And by Asia, we mean anything from Hawaii, south to Australia and New Zealand, west to Pakistan, and as far north as the Russian Far East. Clearly, this is one of the most economically dynamic centers of the world, and we bring you up to date on what's going on in a whole host of countries in this very vital region. We look forward to seeing you. Aloha.
Okay, we're back, you guys. Chris Leatham, host of The Economy and You, with Nicholas Baker, proprietor of the Norski Sports Rental Shop in Keystone, Colorado. Well, passing on from the skis and all that, let's talk about the poles, because I think poles frequently can be useful, but sometimes they're not useful, and I wonder what we got in new technology on the poles.
As far as poles go, I mean, you still have your basic aluminums that they've been running since forever ago. They're starting to come out with a lot more adjustability in trekking poles, is what they're called. Where basically you've got one pole that can fit a variety of different sizes. It's actually what we use for our rental poles here in the shop because no two people are exactly the same size. It allows us to customize the fit of this pole to each person. They have those breaking down into 3 sections, 2 sections, 4 sections, depending on how much backcountry access you're doing is what they're designed for. We use them for all over the mountain. Other than that, they come out with cool interlocking grips now, where basically you have a system that wraps onto your hands or is part of your glove. It's a little trigger system, and it just clicks into your pole, and your pole is basically attached to your hand until you unclip.
Great. That's great. Wow, because you can lose them so easily, even with the straps. So that if they click into your hand. Now, that's not dangerous or anything. If the pole gets stuck somewhere, they're going to pull your hand off?
Nope, no, it's basically got a release mechanism that's built into it too. So, I mean, if you crash, they will come off. It's not one of those things that if it gets caught and someone's going to rip your arm off. It's definitely, pretty safe technology.
Yeah, that's great. So what kind of poles does Chris have? I mean, and I'd like to ask you also, Nicholas, is he planting them properly? I need to know if he's putting them down in the right place,
Without skiing with him, I wouldn't be able to say on a personal note that I know how he's planting, but he looked like when he was going out the door that he kind of knew what he was doing. So I have confidence in him that he was pole planting in just the right spots that he was supposed to.
Chris, why don't you tell us how your pole planting is going?
Well, so far so good. I've only gone once today, so
lean down.
Oh, okay. I'm leaning down. I only fell down once today, so the pole planting has gone fairly well, although not perfect.
Are you carving nice smooth turns? I need to know. The world is watching.
Yes, I carve the most beautiful turns you'll ever see. And if anybody wants to argue that point, I'd be happy to discuss the importance and the how well I have carved the mountains.
Okay, are you carving nice turns in the bottoms of the moguls?
We are not doing moguls.
I got it. How about schussing? Are you doing a lot of schussing, at high speed?
Oh yes, I'm doing lots of shushing.
Okay. All right, so, okay, the poles, that's very interesting with the poles. Let's talk about the clothing, you know? People get so cold up there. I don't know if it's cold there right now, but gee whiz, if you're not dressed right, you're gonna feel it. So what have you got in the way of clothing that will make me feel warm and cozy the whole day?
You've got all sorts of different things coming out with technology. I mean, you've got BioZone from Oakley Outerwear. It's multi-layer technology built into their clothing, specifically designed to pull moisture away from those areas where you sweat most and insulate those areas where the most vital organs are or your joints to help regulate temperature as you're skiing. You also have a pretty cool company that just came out. It's called Vormy. They came out with this new technology for wool. They use high mountain rocky wool that they actually infuse a membrane to create moisture wicking as well as water resistance on the outside and temperature displacement. So it's pretty cool what they're doing with some of that stuff too, especially when you think of where it's come from.
How about pocket warmers? You have pocket warmers these days?
Oh, they have warmers for everything. No matter if it's the boots, you can get built-in electronic heaters for those. They have new electronic gloves that actually have electronic heaters built into those.
Oh, no.
They have jackets with insulators on the inside that are battery pack operated that have heaters. There's pretty much a heater for anything now.
Are you carrying all this gear, Nicholas?
We carry a pretty good amount of it. I mean, obviously, as a small private shop, we can't carry it all, but if need be, we have access to it. But we get to play with it once in a while, and it's pretty cool what they have available.
Yeah, how are your turns, actually, Nicholas? Are you making smooth turns? Are you making smooth turns inside the bottom of the moguls? Are you shushing? What?
I'll shush pretty much anywhere you put me out.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty good turns.
Now, I almost forgot to ask you the most important part, at least the most important part as far as I'm concerned. It's the boots. You know,
Yep.
I remember more than once where my boots, which had been stored here in Hawaii over the non-ski season, actually came apart with
Yep.
pieces of plastic flying down the mountain. And I had to be, removed by the ski patrol because I had no boots left. Now, are they making boots better these days?
They are. We've seen a lot of that actually this year with older plastic. As the ski boots are made out of plastic, over the time from all that flex and bend that they go through, the plastic molecularly just breaks down, and eventually it's going to have a fail point where it's just going to, break apart. The new plastic they're coming out with, it's got a little more life to it. It's got a little better longevity, and they're also adding a lot of features where it comes to Vibram toes and heels on the soles, removable parts that, where it gets worn down the most. You can change these out each season or every 2 seasons, so it extends the life of your boot. They also are adding stuff like walk mode, where it's a little pin you pull in the back, and it allows your boot to flex a lot easier.
Oh, I was going to ask you about that because it's so
Yep.
painful to walk in these ski boots. You suffer just walking a few feet, so now you can walk better, eh?
Totally. They're adding the walk mode, so it allows a lot easier walking. They've come out with some cool new boots for those people that are, very, very novice skiers that don't ski a whole ton. They're not super aggressive. They've got boots that are actually basically a snowboard boot that you put your foot into a plastic shell that straps onto your foot and it becomes a ski boot. So, you've got that nice comfy or comfier feeling, snowboard boot. You stick your foot into a little shell, you now have a ski boot on your foot. So it's pretty easy to go from on the hill to après.
Now, can you make
What about the bindings? The technology for the bindings changed?
Oh, every year they come out with new things in the binding industry. New safety standards, things like that. New geometry and angles for the pivots of the heels and the toes. New release points. Extra features to make sure that the bindings are releasing when they're supposed to, in the proper ways they're supposed to minimize those injuries or the unnecessary injuries out there. Obviously in any sport, it's dangerous, but each year they come out with new features to kind of make it a little bit safer.
So what did you rent to Chris in this regard? What kind of boots? And I'd like the brand name, if you don't mind, and the bindings.
Yep. Basically, we rented him our basic intermediate package. It comes with a Fisher boot. It's a 4-buckle boot from Fisher called their Viron. Pretty good intermediate boot. We also sent him out on a pair of our Vocal RTM 81s, which is a great intermediate ski. It's a very, very high level intermediate ski, so even a advanced skier can go out on it and have a great time. But it's one of those skis that allows you to progress a little bit as an intermediate, kind of feel the next level, if you will, of where your ability can take you.
So, Chris, how are you feeling in those boots and bindings? Are you comfortable? Are you skiing well in those?
I'm skiing really great. The boots have been holding up very well. I had some
Lean down closer to the mic, please.
I had some injuries with my feet when I was younger, so I'm pretty sensitive to a boot that doesn't fit well. And I can tell you the boots have fit just extremely well today. And you know, that first run, always that first run down to the mountain, your muscles are sort of getting used to the sort of new experience. But after the first run, everything has gone great. And I'm looking forward to doing some more skiing tomorrow.
How long are you going to be staying there?
We're going to have 3 days of skiing, so we've got 2 more days.
Okay, excellent. So what it's going to cost me to rent a first-class set of equipment like this, you know, say for 4 or 5 days, Nicholas? The package you described.
Basically, we've got a couple different levels of packages for each skier. Every package we run includes your skis, your boots, and your poles. We start off with a beginner package for those intermediate or beginner skiers, anyone that's, you know, just getting into the industry. Something like that's going to run you roughly $38 a day. Any multi-day rentals, you know, you're going to get discounts. If you're coming in for a 4-day thing, you know, you make a reservation, it's going to get you 20% off that price. So our base package starts at $38, our intermediate's $48, the demo package, which is the highest level of skis we have available, with interchanging, like if you want to switch them out to another pair, those are $58. And it all, you know.
What happens if I throw in a talk show?
You come see me.
So what does the ski ticket cost these days? I mean, because that's going to be in addition. So how much do I pay to get on the mountain these days?
It really depends on how thrifty you are, let's say.
I think Chris is very thrifty, yeah.
So he might looked ahead and found some of those discount options. There's always places to get discount tickets out there through, you know, different grocery stores, websites, gas stations, things like that. Your most expensive tickets are always going to be walk up to the window and get a ticket. Those prices now have gotten up around $120 a day. Yeah. But when you factor in the fact that you're skiing on 3,000 acres with 36 lifts and 145 trails, you got huge ski areas now. So
okay, we got to go. Sorry we didn't have more time, but I think we got some good stuff from you. Thank you so much, Nicholas Baker, in Norski Sports Rental in Keystone. And thank you, Chris, for setting this up and for being an adventurer, not only in skiing, but in electronic technology as well. And in ski technology as well. Thank you so much, you guys. Aloha.
Hey. Aloha.
Thanks very much.